Remember to subscribe if you want to, so you'll never have to ever again. Alright, Catanians, this time we are playing Cities and Knights. As I get an incoming text, probably get a few more incoming texts throughout this game. We are just on the basic island with the Cities and Knights expansion, so we all know that means we play to 13 victory points. The 3 victory point boost from the normal 10 victory points that you would in just basic Catan. Now, in this version of Cities and Knights, I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see the starting placements. For my starting settlements, I didn't want to play on this spot. I want to put my starting city on this 5 sheep, 6 ore, 9 wood. But I knew that was the absolute hottest spot on the board. When you can, in Cities and Knights, when you can build on 3 hexes that each produce one of every different commodity, and you can eventually get a city on that spot, you're pretty much golden. It's almost as good, I think, as those being 3 gold hexes, essentially, because getting all 3 commodities coming in throughout the game is just perfect. Not having to worry about trading for them, not having to try to steal them from other players, but just generating them yourself it's just incredible. So, of course, I had to take that spot. And then you'll see the other 2 players are going to fight it out for the other good spots. And by the time it comes back around to me, there's not going to be that many good spots left. And, of course, I knew I was going to have to get on some wheat if I wanted to build some knights and stay competitive and not lose my starting city. So I went ahead, instead of building on the 8 wheat, with the 3 brick and the 4 wheat, I decided to back it off 1 spot down to grab the 11 stone, mainly to start out with a stone and a wheat with the hopes of rolling a 5, which, as you see, happened. So now I'm able to build a knight before the barbarians invade. And my plan was to put that knight right on that intersection up there, because you see me and Gray were kind of pretty close, because I know we both probably want that spot over on the coastline with the 8 wheat, 4 wheat. But thankfully, I'm also able to build a road. So I built a road, and I'm going to put my knight back in that intersection of the 8 wheat, 4 wheat, 3 brick, activate that knight, and then leave that spot open over on the coastline so I can later build a settlement there. And that's just my, perfect plan in my perfect little world of Catan, trying to settle this island to the 13 victory point max before anyone else. And really, I kind of go back and forth. Now, seeing 11 rolls in, so now I'm getting some coin, and this is good for me. But looking back, that would have been it may have been good to start out on the 8 wheat instead of the 11 stone. The only thing is, I have to hope for a 6 and a 5 to get rolled, or hope for people to trade with me so that I can successfully build a starting knight before the barbarians come attack for the first time. So, high risk, high reward, lower risk, play it safe, and then hope to eventually build to the 8 wheat, the better number. I went with option 2 on that one, and now a 6 came in. Now look at this setup. I have the cards to build another city. And usually I don't recommend you upgrade your starting settlement to a city before the barbarians attack for the first time. But in this instance, I'm going to, because look at the spot that I've already talked about my starting settlement being on. Now that it's upgraded to a city, I will have sheep and cloth, ore and coin, wood and paper coming in each time those numbers are rolled on their respective turns. So that is just super incredibly hot for this strategy. And then I have a little wheat coming in from the 4, and hopefully those cities are just going to start pumping out resources, and I can quickly hop a settlement down on that 8 wheat, 4 wheat spot. And then looking ahead on the other side of the board, maybe I can get down to either the 10 wood with the stone port. I think that's a little bit better in this scenario than trying to head down to the 9 wood with a 3-for-1 port, because the 10 is not, it's a little bit worse of a number than the 9, but it's still decent, and I get a stone port, and you see I'm already built on 2 stone hexes, so I think that's the better play. But I just have my 2 cities right now. I have a knight activated, and then the other 2 players went ahead and they upgraded both of their knights to level 2 knights. So we are more than good when the barbarians come in, which they do right now. And I took that gamble by upgrading my second, or my other starting settlement to a city, and having 2 cities before the barbarians came, and the other players started battling it out for see who could get Defender of Catan, but they ended up both just taking a progress card as a result of tying in knight strength from when the barbarians attacked. And thus, as a side effect, both of my cities were safe. So now coming around again, now that I know that they both have level 2 knights, I'm just going to leave my knight at level 1, because of course everyone's going to want to activate their knights when the barbarians come back around, because if one person doesn't, that's going to be the person to have a city destroyed. And of course no one ever wants that. So this is good for me. I can just chill with my one knight, have it make sure it's activated, and then just focus on my game. Focus on getting commodities coming in, upgrading those city improvements, start having the progress cards rolling in, and really get this game going. Now, when y'all play cities and knights, I don't know how long it takes y'all, let me know in the comments, but usually for me, I'm in here for a good 45 minutes to an hour, if not longer, if people are taking really long in their turns, which I understand is either a connection issue on the online server, or they're really thinking through some deep, long-term strategies, because one play they might do, they might just be setting themselves up for 5 turns down the road, which I totally get. I do the same thing myself. I'm always trying to look ahead to see what I do now. How can it set myself up for later in the game, maybe halfway through. And then once I'm halfway through, how can I set myself up for the 3/4 of the way through the game? And then, of course, once you're 3/4 of the way, you're looking right at the end. You're looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. And red is going to go ahead and plop down a settlement. It's a decent spot. I like it because they're getting more wheat off of that 4, but they do also put the settlement on the 11 sheep, 5 sheep, which is all right. But Resource Monopoly comes in, they're going to take some stuff. And now I'm actually getting worried because I don't have the cards to build a road, and now they're kind of encroaching onto my territory. And at face value, it looks like they want to put a settlement on that 5 sheep, 10 wood. But if they manage to have 2 more rows in their hand by the time their turn rolls around, they might just swoop down and cut me right off down to the 9 wood, 10 wood, because although they do have 8 wood, they're only built on 1 wood hex. So I could see them wanting as many wood hexes as they can get, at least for their next settlement building. So I'm kind of worried about that. So because I don't have the cards and I don't have the merchant to trade in, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to see if people want to trade. I'll throw a stone at them. If they don't, I might just go ahead and build a knight to block them and force them to take the long way around. But keep in mind, this knight that I play down here at the intersection right there of the 5 sheep, 10 wood, 9 wood, that's a level 1 knight. So if red decides to activate their level 2 knight that you see right above my city, they could build a road to touch my knight, and they could, on their next turn, they could move that knight and basically just destroy my level 1 knight because it has nowhere else to go. It does displace it, but because I only have 1 road built off that city, it displaces it to nowhere and basically gets taken off the board. So I'm hoping they don't do that, because I really want that spot down there. Any one of those ports will be good for me, and I don't want red to get that advantage, because if they do, they could also look ahead for themselves further down the line in this game and see that they have a pretty good chance of getting access to that wood port at the top of your screen with the 6 brick. Now, I'm built on 6, Red's built on 6, but we're built on the stone 6, which is generating us stone and coin. Gray, on the other hand, is built on the 6 brick, and that's only giving him 1 brick every time a 6 is rolled. So that 6 brick is not a very good hex in Cities and Knights, because you really only use brick for road settlements and city walls. And while those do benefit you, cities, city improvements, metropolises, knights, I think benefit you way more in the long run in Cities and Knights. Of course, in basic Catan, brick is like what everyone wants in the first half of the game, absolutely. And then, of course, in the second half when they're stealing Longest Road from each other. And speaking of Longest Road, check this out. You saw the title of my video. Maybe that's why you clicked on it. Maybe you just want to see some Catan. That's totally cool too. I'm glad you're here. This game, this may actually be the first game I've ever played where no one took Longest Road, and I'm still mind-boggled by it. Because at this point, we're maybe a quarter of the way through the game. Red has a 4-length road. They have to build 1 more road to take Longest Road. You look at Gray. Let me take a Defender of Catan progress card real quick. You look at Gray. If Gray connects their little road systems right up there near that 10 wheat, if they just build 2 roads, they take Longest Road, because that'll be a continuous road system of 5. Me, I'm not really in contention for Longest Road at all right now. I have a 2-length road at best, which is nothing to write home about. But the fact that throughout this next half an hour of us playing, I know it edited out some footage for YouTube, but we played for another half hour after this point. No one took Longest Road. And it was surprising because no one got that green progress card road building, which, progress cards were coming in after maybe the first third of a game, of a Cities and Knights game. People start getting progress cards pretty regularly. So we go through that pile, at a decent rate. And the fact that no one drew Longest Road tells me that I was probably sitting at the bottom of the randomized pile, and maybe that's why people weren't thinking about it. But for me, in any game of Catan, I'm always thinking about Longest Road. And of course, seafarers, they call it the longest shipping route, because there's ships and roads make up your system, your route. But it's just crazy. I was like waiting for someone to take it, and I'm like, well, I'm not really going to take it right now, because for me, it doesn't benefit me that much to worry about chasing those 2 victory points. Because I'm thinking long term, I'm thinking big picture, like Michael Scott when he was co-manager with Jim Halpert. He's thinking big picture stuff, not day to day. So big picture stuff, I want a metropolis. Heck, I might even want 2 metropolises. We'll see what it takes for me to gain victory, but I know I definitely need 1, because my strategy is so heavily, relying on gathering commodities and upgrading city improvements. And with that inventor, I now have 2 9s. So, of course, if I get Alchemist, you already know I'm going to make sure a 9 is selected for the dice roll if I get Alchemist, because I'll get a coin, an ore, a wood, and a paper. All 4 cards off a 9, 4 really good cards off a 9. But unfortunately, I do not have Alchemist at this point. An 8 is rolled. And that brings to my attention as I get Science bonus level, or Science City Improvement level 2, not the Science bonus. That'll come at Science City Improvement level 3. But an 8 was rolled. It was brought to my attention. I'm still not built on that 8 wheat as another 8 gets rolled. And Gray is just rolling in the wheat now. Red's getting some wood. But Red should really have upgraded that settlement to a city by now, because all that 8 wood would have also been joined by paper in their inventory. But yeah, at this point, I really should have had a settlement on that 8 wheat, 4 wheat. But I just had other stuff going on. I had red encroaching on my other area, and you see they did build a settlement. So now they are getting double sheep off the 5, and then they're getting 1 wood off that 10. And no one's taking trades right now. So I just have to, I have another inventor. So if I want to change up some more numbers on the board, I can. It kind of sucks that inventor does not let you switch 6s, 8s, 2s, and 12s, because if you're on a 2 or a 12, you want to get it out of there. And of course, if you're not on a 6 or 8, you want to bring it to you, but you can't. I understand it, because I think that's just a little too powerful. I do agree with that, with how they did that when creating this game. But it is nice that you can steal 5s and 9s, the very next best numbers after 6s and 8s. So that's very cool to have. But I already have a lot of good stuff. The only weak number I really have is a 3, honestly. Beyond that, yeah, every other number is pretty good. I have 4, 5, 6, and 9. And that's not a lot of number diversity, but those numbers are getting rolled pretty good, as you can see. I still have my 2 cities. I have level 3 knights. If they were activated on the board, I have 1 level 1 knight, 1 level 2 knight. And you see I upgraded that knight just in case red decides to build a road to touch that knight and displace my knight. But now they can't, because we're tied at knight strength. They would need to first, before they get a mighty knight, which is a level 3 knight, they would need to get the politics city bonus by having the level 3 politics city improvement. So you need to spend a bunch of their coin to get that. But thankfully, I don't believe they have it right now. And the barbarians come in, but we win. And keep in mind that Gray got the Defender of Catan for that. So that's kind of good for us, because Gray seems to be lagging behind in this game with only having 1 city and 2 settlements. They do have roads pointing up to get another settlement on that 3-for-1 port with the 5 stone and the 2 sheep, which I think is a really good spot for them to have that port and to have more stone coming in, coupled with all that wheat they're getting in from the 8 and the 10. So they do have a little good thing going on, but they're just a little lagging behind, because me and red, I think, have a lot of momentum. It may not look like it if you were just looking at what I have on the board with just 2 cities, but I have a lot of city improvements in the background working for me, bringing in my progress cards, get me set up for this halfway point in the game. And I have merchant, which is nice, always nice to have. I just don't quite have a lot of resources at this point to justify using it, putting on the board, because maybe one number all of a sudden decides to get rolled all the time, and just that resource starts coming in. So I'd want to use merchant on that. But, of course, red has spy. It is going to steal my merchant away from me. How thoughtful of them, right? I mean, can you believe that people would only look out for themselves in a game of Catan? I mean, I guess you got to win in any way possible. Of course, following the rules in Catan. But looking out for yourself, that's how you achieve victory, really. You can kind of do a little bit of give and take, kind of help someone out when they help you out in this game. And look, I just got a victory point, and that was indeed off of a blue progress card, because you see a blue dice was rolled. I have level 3 politics city improvements, because if you have level 3, a red dice of 1, 2, 3, or 4 with the blue dice will net you a progress card, and that progress card, if I remember correctly, is called Constitution, which is an instant free victory point that you have to reveal to the board, to everyone, which is different from the victory point development cards in basic Catan that you can keep hidden for as long as you like until the end of the game. But in this one, if you draw a victory point card from all progress card stacks have one in each of the stacks. We have to reveal it immediately. But free victory point off a roll, basically, that's pretty awesome. So now I'm at 5. And gray, you see, is at 6 because they did end up building that settlement on the 5 or 2 sheep, and they now have a 3 for 1 port. So they're also kind of back on my radar with red. But because they haven't taken Longish Road, that's actually kind of a good thing, because if gray went ahead and took Longish Road right now, connecting their 2 road systems they have, then I would be like, all right, I gotta kind of get my eye off of red and what they're doing and get my radar fully on gray, because now gray is like basically saying, hey, look at me. I have Longish Road. I have 8 victory points in this hypothetical situation, of course, and I'm gonna try to steamroll ahead with the game. But because they didn't do that, they're kind of, flying under the radar, just kind of playing it cool. As a spy was used to take my spy, but thankfully gray ended up trying to spy on red this time, so it took something from them instead of my inventor. Because I did use an inventor earlier, but I have another one. But I don't want anyone else using inventor because I have a really good setup right now. Except for that 3, of course, and the 10 is, as we said, all right. And if I want to, steal another 4 or 5 from someone and bring it over to my area, I will gladly do so, but on my own terms, and just keep the inventor in my hand and no one else's, and we can all walk away happy. Well, maybe just me. So 5 is rolled, got some more sheep and cloth, and at this point, I've got a lot of commodities in my hand. See, later in the game, we're about a little past halfway now at this point, and the commodities are really coming in. I don't have a metropolis yet, but I do have... Oh, and the diplomat, I thought for sure red was going to take my road away right there, that I was trying to build down to the 9 wood, 10 wood, but they did not, which is great. They just moved one of their own roads instead. But at this point, I have... On the blue progress card side, I have level 3 city improvements. On the green progress card side, I have level 2 city improvements. And if I get a 3rd paper, I will upgrade that to level 3 city improvements and get the science bonus, which, as you all know, if one of my numbers is not rolled, or if one of them is rolled but it's shut down, I get a free card of my choice, a free resource, I should say specifically. And then on the yellow progress card front, I have level 2 city improvements. So I'm also 1 city improvement away from getting the trade bonus as well as the science bonus. But at this point, the 6 is rolled. I am shut down. And it looks like red is going to get a little benefit. But I really need a wheat. Because like I said earlier, I need to get on that 8 wheat, 4 wheat. But I had a different thought, actually. I was like, I see that brick port up there. I am on a 3 brick. I'm going to go ahead, build a road there. And just so I can not have more than 7 cards, I'll upgrade one of my knights to a level 2 knight. And I'm actually back to being neck and neck with both other players in knight strength. Because if you look, we are all pretty much tied at level 4 knight strength, assuming, of course, red goes ahead and activates their other knight, because I think there's level 2 knights on the board exclusively. There's no level 1 knights, there's no level 3 mighty knights, and everyone just has 2 level 2 knights. So if that's the case, and no one builds any more knights or upgrades any knights, then we'll all get a progress card from tying in victory against the barbarians. And I go ahead, I'm able to build a city wall and a settlement this turn. So finally, at this point, I'm on that 8 wheat. I also gained the brick port. And my thought was, instead of building on the 8 wheat, 4 wheat, let me build on the 8 wheat first and get that port. And maybe later I can swing down the other way and grab some more wheat with the 4 and the wheat port. Because I really wanted the wheat port, but I needed the 8 more, in my opinion, because of the brick port. And 3's getting rolled kind of decently. And also getting that 8 number in my repertoire of diverse numbers. Diverse good numbers, I should say. And I benefit from the science bonus. And I will take a wood, because at this point, I'm like, you know what? It's Metropolis time. If you look, I have 3 coin. I need 1 more, but I don't have 2 brick to trade in using my port. So why not grab a 4th wood so I can 4-for-1 it for that 4th coin, grab the Metropolis, and now I'm at 8. I've really kind of put myself on the radar to the other players, like, hey, I'm in business now. I'm really trying to steamroll ahead in this almost in between halfway through and 3/4 of the way through. We'll call it 5/8 of the way through the game. I'm really getting serious about trying to win here. Because now that I have the blue Metropolis, no one else is going to take it from me. I'm not going to let red take it from me because red is on that 6 stone and getting coin off of it. Right now it's shut down, of course. And gray is on the 5 stone up top, but they only have 1 city on there. If they had 2 cities on that 5 stone, then I'd be worried that they would be able to take my blue Metropolis away from me. But because they only have 1 city on there, I'm not too worried. Plus, they seem to be focused on other things, like keeping their knights active and building settlements and then upgrading those settlements into cities. So I'm not too worried on the Metropolis front. I'm just going to go ahead, let that Metropolis chill right there and not worry about it. Focus on maybe getting another Metropolis or getting a port or getting a settlement down on that. Now I have it as a 4 wood and a 9 wood because I used Inventor earlier. And I also have mining. Gray can go ahead and use a Warlord. I also have Warlord. And because they use Deserter, they're stealing knights from me. So now Gray is in prime position to get Defender of Catan. And you see, there they go. They go ahead and upgrade one of their settlements into a city. So you can see they're not terribly worried about getting a Metropolis, at least in my opinion. That's what it looks like. And Diplomat, I'm going to take a road away from red because I don't want them getting on that 3-for-1 port and being more powerful, at least not just yet. And if you look right here on the screen, I just flashed it. They both don't even have a city bonus. Gray has level 2 on the blue city improvements, not level 3. So they can't upgrade any of their knights to mighty knights, which is why I think they're just using Deserter to steal more knights away, and they're stuck at level 2 knights. They can't upgrade to that level 3 knight because they don't have the blue city bonus just yet. Alchemist, red's going to go for a 6. And now I'm kind of back on my radar. Like, now, see, there you go. Red got the blue city bonus. They're at level 3. They just got upgrade to a city. In order to steal my Metropolis, they have to pay 4 coin to upgrade to level 4 to tie with me, and then they have to pay 5 coin to upgrade to level 5 city improvement and take my Metropolis away. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But at this point, I have a good feeling because I'm at 9 victory points. They're both still back at 7. Of course, Longest Road is just sitting on the table. It's anyone's game to take it, but all red has to do is build 1 road to take it, and they could be tied with me at 9 victory points, but they're just not going to do it, and it's just boggling my mind. It's just 2 cards. 2 cards will give you 2 victory points. When are you really ever able to say that? That is a really awesome trade-off. So I'm just kind of like almost screaming at my phone as I'm playing because of course I play Catan Universe on my phone and record it there. I'm like, just take Longest Road. It's yours. You can, like, no one else can have it except for you. 2 cards, and it's yours. Everyone else has to grind away. Gray would have to pay 4 cards, i.e. 2 wood, 2 brick to build 2 roads to take it. I would also have to do the same because now my Longest Road system's 3 roads. I would have to build 2 roads. If I was going to take Longest Road, I would build my 2 roads off of my initial settlement with the 3 brick, 4 wheat, 9 stone, and build the 2 roads down to the 6 stone, 9 stone, 12 sheep. Maybe throw a settlement on that spot because that's not a bad spot. And actually thinking about it, I probably should have done that instead of being all worried about red trying to come down into that 4 wood, 9 wood area. But on the other hand, now that I'm thinking about it, because I cut them off, maybe that kind of threw them off worrying about building more roads because they probably would have tried to cut me off if I just left it wide open. And as a result of cutting me off down to that spot, they would have taken longest road. So maybe because they realized I had cut them off from going down there, maybe they're like, oh, I'll just have to build somewhere else. And maybe they weren't thinking about taking the longest road. But on the other hand, that they have an opening on the other side to go down to the 6 stone, 9 stone, 12 sheep. So they could have cut me off there and taken longest road. I'm trying to figure it out here. Help me out. So at this point, we're getting close to the end of the game. I know it doesn't quite look like it. I'm 4 victory points away. Look at Gray, also at 9 victory points, with Red back to 6 because of a merchant swap, a merchant theft, I should say. And off of 9, I get 4 cards. I get my wood, paper, and then my stone and my coin. A resource monopoly, of course, is always going to take cards away because before you use resource monopoly, you need to look at what the rolls are and see what people are getting resource-wise, but also see what they're not spending, so you know that they still have it in their hand. So when you go to play resource monopoly to take up to 2 cards of a resource from every player, you know you can maximize that and try to get at a maximum in this game 4 cards from 2 other players. Of course, I'm going to get sabotaged, have to burn some cards, but it's all right. I give up my coin because, again, sabotage means you just give those resources back to the bank, not to the player. So I'm not worried about Gray trying to steal my blue metropolis. And you look at the barbarians, very close to coming in. And at this point, actually Red is in the lead with Knight Strength. Gray is back down to 5 Knight Strength. Red has 7 Knight Strength. And because it flip-flopped, because now Red used to be in the lead compared to Gray, but now Gray is in the lead, so I'm actually rooting for Red to take Defender of Catan because I know I don't even have a knight in the board at this point because of it, they've been stolen from me. So I'm not worried at all. And I throw down Merchant now. Although I didn't have any stone, I threw Merchant on the board now to get that extra victory point and just to make sure no one else had Spy, because I had a feeling if someone got Spy, they would spy on me because I have the most victory points, and they would take my Merchant and then use it for themselves. But I was like, you know what? There we go, and there's the Spy right there. Because late in the game, if you have a Merchant, just use it. Just use it and just have it for yourself, because it's too risky to have someone have a Spy that you don't know about, and then they use Spy on you and take your Merchant. And that's it's a huge blow late in the game to have a victory point just stolen from you like that. A victory point that you can play with a single card. It's really awesome. And of course, they're going to smell it out and they're going to be like, you know what, this guy is doing really well. Let's steal from him. Oh, he has a Merchant. Perfect. But because I kept it on mine, I boosted myself up to 10. And then I got 4 paper. Now I have 2 metropolises. And I have a bunch of cards in my hand. I'm only on a brick port, though. If I had chosen instead to build on that wheat port, I would have been able to trade the 2 wheat in my hand for a sheep, built a settlement, and won the game right then and there. But then again, maybe not, because a lot of 8s got rolled since I built on that 8. So maybe I wouldn't have had that many wheat in my hand. It's all, what if this and that hypothetical scenario. But point is, I'm going to win this game. At this point, I'm just going to tell you straight up. We're coming close to the end of the video if you were checking anyways. I'm at 12 victory points. I need 1 more victory point. No one took longest road. They would have been a lot closer to winning if they had, of course. And then Red even builds a road back on the spot that I took it away from them over on that 3 brick 3-for-1 spot. So they were going for the 3-for-1 port. But all along, they just had to build 1 more road on their other road system and take longest road. And then they didn't. And of course, I rolled exactly what I needed. If I don't roll a 7, I win. And of course, I don't. Roll a 6. Just what I needed. That's a song by the Cars as well, if you listen to classic rock. And I'm going to go ahead, build my settlement, and win. So, what a very good game. What an interesting game that no one took longest road. I know I keep harping on about it. But to me, it's just it's such an integral part of Catan. and people are always so focused on getting it in almost every single game of Catan I've ever played. So to have this happen, it's just an outlier. I'm glad I recorded. I got footage of it to prove it to you guys. So thank you for watching. Take care. We'll see you in another installment of this great game. Take care.